We can have a really good, deep conversation where we don't necessarily agree,
Right.
and we come from our different belief systems and everything else.
Right.
The one thing for me that all bets are off is the tone that's being presented.
Yeah. Thank you. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that nonverbal stuff, right? And then let me add some things, when I talk about perpetual problems, right? What if you're just a naturally sensitive person?
Yeah.
I kind of am. I think a lot of people I know in my field are.
Yeah, I would
so
say,
now I'm sensitive and I just got hit with a tone and I got hit with negativity. Or maybe I got,
a
and
double
another,
whammy.
and by the way, while I'm on the subject, another thing you do wrong. So now you start getting a succession of these, which is criticism. And that's another one of the horsemen. But I like how with you, back to your I need statements is, it's really important we have that gentle start up, but please, one of the things I need is don't start up in the tone because that's going to make me want to get defensive.
Respond, yeah.
Yeah, no, so you got, so we got three of the horsemen just by chatting, right?
Because when the tone is evident, then my tone changes.
Yes.
Then my tone becomes...
Yeah, 83% of the time. That's right.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? We
Yes.
even know the science of how often it happens.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is based on like 40 years of research. I mean, like I said, if 100 years from now somebody's doing this work, right, this stuff's still going to apply because it's attachment theory. It's got to do with how the body relates to feeling when my partner isn't there for me. I go into danger.
What if you're somebody who wants to, you're having a little bit of a squabble, whatever it may be, and you are the one that really wants to talk through it, talk it out, come at it in a lot of different ways to just figure out what it is that's driving this, and the other person doesn't want to. The other person runs away or disappears or just doesn't want to do that.
Right.
I remember somebody years ago when I was, right out of school and we had dated, and if there was ever any sort of a disagreement or just not understanding of each other, she would, if she didn't think I was agreeing, what she used to say was, and I found this fascinating, and I've applied it, in regular conversations with people, she would say, if I wasn't agreeing with what she was saying, she would say, "You're not listening. You're not listening." And I said, "Believe me, I'm an incredibly deep listener. I could probably repeat everything you just said upside down and backwards. It's not that I'm not listening. I just don't agree. So the fact that I'm not agreeing doesn't mean I'm not listening."
Right.
But to her, that meant I was not listening to her because I wasn't agreeing with her.
Yeah.
And then she sometimes, when we would have a disagreement on something, would go in the bathroom, lock the door, and run the water so she couldn't hear me talk.
Yeah.
And I said, "Don't you want to talk it out? Because I think if we keep chatting, we're going to probably say that was dumb, that little thing we squabbled over, and we're going to end up laughing." Because there were times that would happen. If we went long enough, we'd end up laughing about how crazy that little thing was. But yet she would shut it down and go in another room, run the water, lock the door, and not let you finish trying to connect and solve it. How frustrating that
can be. Well,
and that's why my father happened to be there once. He said, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?"
Well, and you can get that frustrated, can't you? Yeah.
And then my mother wouldn't say anything because she said, "Well, what happens if you guys solve it? Then she won't like me."
Yeah.
But the dad was, "You sure you know what you're doing?"
Yeah. Well, and you just happened on the last horseman, which is called stonewalling, right? It's talk to the hand.
Yeah.
And what I always say when people do that, your antidote to that is to go settle down and come back. If you don't come back, it's still more of a stonewall.